Hello, my name is Joshua Mugabi. I welcome you to topic 10.1, Asexual Reproduction in Plants. Learning outcome B, understand how plants reproduce asexually. We are on learning activity. Brainstorm advantages and disadvantages of vegetative propagation in plants. Through class discussion, agree on answers and record the answers in a table. We are on vegetative reproduction, item 1. We are looking at advantages of propagation. A biology teacher introduces a class discussion on vegetative propagation in plants. Learners are asked to brainstorm the advantages and disadvantages of vegetative propagation based on their experience and what they observe in the community. Task: list as many advantages of vegetative propagation as you can. 1. They produce offsprings identical to the parent plants, preserving desirable traits. Another advantage: they are faster methods of plant multiplication compared to seeds. Useful to plants that do not produce viable seeds, like for example, bananas. They guarantee uniformity of the produce, which is important for commercial crops. They enable production of many plants from a small plant parts. They help farmers propagate plants all year around, not depending on flowering seasons. Some methods, for example cutting, they are simple, cheap, and quick. List as many disadvantages of vegetative propagation as you can. There is lack of genetic variation, and this makes the plant more vulnerable to disease and pests. Diseases can easily be passed from the parent to the offsprings. They require more labor, tools, and skills than planting seeds. Some methods like grafting they require specialized skills. Some planting material, like tubers, suckers, are bulky and costly to transport. Planting material may be affected by storage conditions. For example, drying and rotting. And they are not suitable for wide genetic improvement since no new combinations are formed. Vegetative reproduction item 2. Let's now look at the school agriculture garden. Learners at Bweyogerere Essays are helping the school agriculture club community multiply cassava and sweet potatoes using stem and vine cuttings. The club patron asks the learners to compare this method with growing crops from seeds so they can choose the best method for large-scale multiplication next term. Task: explain any 4 advantages of vegetative propagation as used in the school garden. They produce genetically identical offsprings, ensuring uniformity in crop quality. The desirable traits, for example, high yields, disease resistance, tests, are preserved without variation. Plants reach maturity faster, leading to quick harvests because they bypass the juvenile seedling stage. They are useful for plants that produce few or no viable seeds, like the bananas and the sugarcane. They allow multiplication of plants in non-favorable seed germination conditions. They are usually cheaper and easier, requiring simple tools like knives and hoes. State any 4 disadvantages of vegetative propagation. The offsprings are genetically identical. This reduces genetic variation and increases vulnerability to diseases. The disease and pests are easily transmitted from the parent plants to the offspring. Some methods like grafting, layering, these require skilled labor, increasing the cost. Planting materials like cuttings, suckers, rhizomes, these can be bulky and they are expensive to transport. Vegetative propagated crops often have shorter lifespan and reduced vigor over years. Limits natural adaptations to changing environments. Suggest two situations where vegetative propagation is more suitable than seed propagation. When rapid multiplication of a high-value crop is needed, for example, bananas and sugar canes. When the plant does not produce viable seeds, for example, the seedless oranges and pineapples. When maintaining a specific desirable trait is important, for example, taste of apples, flower color in roses. Vegetative reproduction, item 3. We are going to look at farmers training. A district agriculture officer trains farmers on increasing their income using potatoes, bananas, avocado, and sugarcane. She asks learners to evaluate when vegetative propagation is beneficial and when it may cause losses. Tasks. Describe how vegetative propagation can help farmers improve productivity. Produces uniform crops that mature at the same time. And this is useful for market harvest. They maintain superior traits, ensuring consistency in quality. They save time since plants grow faster and start producing earlier. They allow farmers to multiply limited planting materials from high-yielding mother plants. Explain any disadvantages the farmers should consider before relying solely on vegetative propagation. Uniform crops means low biodiversity, making the entire field susceptible to disease outbreaks. Disease-dependent material will lead to a wide spread of infection to all propagated plants. Some methods, they require trained workers, and this raises the production costs. Vegetative materials are perishable and must be planted quickly. Explain why vegetative propagation can lead to crop failure if not well managed. Use of infected parent stock spread systemic diseases. Poor handling can cause desiccation or damage to cuttings before planting. Incorrect moisture or soil conditions will prevent rooting. Mismatch compatibility in grafting, that is, wrong rootstock and scion pairing, it stops union formation. Vegetative propagation item 4. Let's look now at the classroom practical reflection. After performing a school lab activity on stem cuttings, coleus, and sweet potato vines, learners compare the results with seed-grown bean seedlings. Task: outline advantages observed in vegetative propagation practical. Faster rooting and early establishment. There is uniform growth pattern. There is high success rate when conditions are controlled. Identify disadvantages observed or discussed. Some cuttings wilted due to water losses. Plants were prone to fungal infections when the moisture was too high. They required careful handling compared to bean seeds. Give a conclusion on why vegetative propagation is important in agriculture. Vegetative propagation is essential in agriculture because it allows rapid uniform multiplication of crops with desirable characteristics, though it must be managed properly to avoid disease spread and low genetic diversity. Summary. Vegetative propagation allows plants to form new individuals from vegetative parts such as stems, roots, tubers, suckers, and rhizomes. It has several advantages, including fast multiplication, uniformity in crops, and preservation of good traits, and usefulness for plants that lack viable seeds. However, it also has disadvantages, such as lack of genetic variation, easy spread of diseases, labor intensity, and need for specialized skills. These points help learners understand both the benefits and the limitation of vegetative propagation in agriculture. Thank you very much for participating in the topic 10.1, Asexual Reproduction in Plants. We are on learning outcome B. Understand how plants reproduce asexually. We have been looking at learning activity, brainstorm advantages and disadvantages of vegetative propagation in plants. Through class discussion, agree on answers and record answers in a table. Please visit me at Mugabi Joshua Biology on YouTube. Don't forget to like, to share, and subscribe.